good morning, and welcome to Friday's Facing the Lion Challenges. We ask the question, what challenges have you faced, past or present, and how did you overcome them if you have? Vibe Talk Facing the Lion is always about challenging ourselves. It's about deep conversations about our emotional state, our mental state, and how we're handling things. Because everything that we do, ladies and gentlemen, affects our emotions and our mental state. Well, always remember that. A lot of times you might feel like when we talk about emotion or mental state that we're saying, in fact, there is something wrong. There is something the matter. But that's not what we're saying at all. We're asking you the question, have you challenged it while facing any challenges? Today, in particularly, we're going to talk to the men. We know that it's women's history, but we want to pay attention to our men that are part of our audience just as much as you are. We realize through demographic that women are listening to this podcast more. We have statistically saw that. I want to get the men involved today about challenging yourselves. To have a sit-down conversation. Good morning, Trish.
Good morning.
I'd like to ask everyone before we start, as you know, Friday is all about facing the lion. And if you would be kind enough to just go by our YouTube channel, just a click of a button, and support that page. It's turning out very nicely. Thank you, Trish, for putting that very well arranged in what we're doing. I'd also like to ask you that if you are not following us and you're just tuning in, if you have any social media, please follow us on our social medias. We're also streaming everywhere you're listening to your podcast. And I know you all have favorite podcasts that you like to tune in. We're so ever grateful for your tuning in. If there are any men in the audience, we want you to listen to this program today. I have two sons of my own, and they are young adults. How do we challenge our sons, our brothers, our nephews? You know, the father is the founding of the foundation of the sons, nephews, brothers, uncles, It starts with the father. And I don't want this to be taken out of context today, because mothers are not fathers. Let's get that straight. For a long time, I've said women have to be fathers too. But we're going to grace the fathers. Now, I know, ladies, there's a lot of single mothers out there by choice or whatever other circumstances. But we need to give every man and woman space for grace. How are you all doing? I'm going to dive deep. How are you men collectively doing? Whether it's having to find a job, get a job, take care of the entire family, raise your children, and even more so, being the father. The OJs have a song called Family Reunion. And as that song plays, he begins to talk about the fathers. Have we lost the imagery of a father? Because what the OJs are talking about, we are long, long way off. You fathers, heads up to you. And I say heads up to you because just as a mother, it is extremely hard to raise children. Many things have occurred. And the first thing that people say is, where was the father? Now, without getting too in depth into this, I want to just share something with you how a father is challenged. I got a message yesterday, and it was from a father that his children were put into the system, not because he was negligent, because he was making money, legally working to provide for his children. And he let me know that he was sitting in court to get his children out of the system. Now, I want to ask you, fathers that are not faced with this, how are you doing in that regard? Are you being the father? And we want to give hats off to those of you who are father figures. What does that mean? That you may not have actually birthed that child or have made that child biologically, but you've stepped up to the plate. You have indeed shown leadership. Not often that we talk about fathers. We have to address it because fathers are just as important. Now, the challenge that this dad is facing is getting your child or his child or children out of the system for simply something that was not due to anything that he's done. Challenging, you say. But I ask you today, you fathers, how do you rate when it comes to your having the freedom to see your children, to be with them, to interact in their lives? How are you rating with? Or do you give up easily when you're faced, good morning, Macy, when you're faced with the challenge of seeing your children? Or do you allow the mother to stop you from seeing your child? There's going to be a message in this today, and I hope that you will find it. For any father out there, for anyone that's fighting for their children. And don't worry, we're going to feel the whole spectrum. Not just on getting to see your kids, but being able to be the father you want to be. Now, many fathers have said, she won't let me see my kids. Take your power back and fight for your children. Because after all, you're the father. The role is so important that you've been given the assignment to be the man of the house. And I want you ladies to understand something. Stop putting your young sons as the man of the house. Because what you do is put a large, heavy burden without even knowing that you've done that. After all, your child is a child. And we get the point of saying that our young sons are now the men of the house. But assign them the opportunity to be able to reach the goal. That one day that they will be fathers. And they will have to assume the role of taking care of the family. By the way, if you haven't heard the OJ song Family Reunion, that's an assignment. Listen to that song and listen to what he says about the rules. It means so much. Yet we've lost our way. There are good dads out there. And by good dads, I mean dads who have challenged themselves. Maybe the mother has left. Maybe the mother has died. But there are dads that I know that have stepped up to the plate. How so? They see their kids all the time. They engage with their kids. When the new Mermaid, Little Mermaid came out, I thought it was so cute. Grandpas and fathers went to see the movie with their little girls. That to me is so cute. We say, that's not manly. Or I'm not going to do that. But fathers did that. What I got from fathers who told me that they had done that is that was a long movie. But we are not here to talk about Little Mermaid. We're here to talk about fathers today. Don't you think that it's a beautiful thing when fathers participate with their girls and boys? When they participate, because I'll tell you something, it's a lifetime of memories. I say good morning to those of you who are just coming in. Thank you for joining Vibe Talk Facing the Lion. Finally Friday, and we're asking the question, what challenges have you faced today? And don't be shy, because this is an interactive podcast. We deal with all ranges of emotion. I am a professional certified life coach. The lion is representation, I should say, of vicious challenges, unbearable challenges, harder challenges, mountain type of challenges, and even little baby tiger or baby lion. That's why it's called White Dog Facing the Lion. So how are we doing? And Trish, what's your input about this without going into your Trish's treasures yet?
Well, my input on this is the fact that I do agree that fathers are overlooked. I say that because most people that I know or what I see around social media always talk about their mothers and how good they were and things. And as a person, as a female who had her father, who has her father in her life, I see the struggles my dad went through, and it just makes me think I have to show my appreciation that he does matter, because I always think if I was in his shoes and I wasn't shown appreciation, I'll be even more stressed for what I got going on, because I'm doing this for a purpose. And I know my dad, he has raised us and taking care of my mom with a purpose. So I always try to show him that I appreciate him, always try to say thank you and communicate with him and things like that.
Appreciate that. And I do feel like some fathers are overlooked. My dad was a very hard worker. Very hard worker. And I've always known that. I could never take that as he was, and I'm so thankful for that. Literally working to the day he died. So, what is a father? A man in relation to his child or children. Birth father, biological father, the patriarch, pop, daddy, dad, papa, pa, foster father, stepfather, adoptive father, Wow, look at all the titles that you get. Now, as you are the father, what kind of role models are you setting? This is going to give you some room for thought. We'll be right back. Cause we're called Vibetalk, Facing the Lion podcast. Go check your favorite streaming platforms. Feel free to be interactive and tell us your stories. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, YouTube, and it's so much more. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Go give it a shot. Did you know that Vibe Talk After Dark radio show is our new family member? It's all about sharing music, radio, and song dedication. What song could I play for you? On Saturdays, check out Vibe Talk After Dark radio show. We're back, and we are addressing fathers. I want to do it in such a light to, excuse me, give the fathers dignity, because there are some really good dads. Now, foundationally, when we think about dads, maybe you grew up without dad in your life. But that's how you got here originally. He caused your birth. Maybe he wasn't around for you, because there are some people who actually grew up and hate their dads, or never had the type of relationships that they would have wanted with their father. There will be men in your life, whether it's grandpa, uncle, brother, son. And those are going to be the people that impact your life, or you impact theirs in one way or another. How are you doing with that? You know, because I see a lot of men that are up for the challenge, or men who are not challenging themselves. So we're going to talk about it. Whenever you get to Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, we get into our feelings. I saw a young man who was old enough to be somebody's dad, not having any conversation. This full grown man was walking around with his pants down, showing his underwear, sagging pants. I didn't know they were still doing that. And what is that? And I'm going to particularly talk to the fathers and the men, because only they can tell you what that is. Good morning and welcome to our program here today. In what ways have you been challenged, past or present, for this week? How have you been challenged? What challenges have you faced this week. I immediately thought to myself, what does that mean? To walk around as old as you are with your pants sagging. Have we lost respect as a man? Because, see, men grow up to take the lead. Can I listen to somebody that walks around with their pants sagging? Remember, they have potential. And it deeply disturbed me. It deeply disturbed. Because I thought to myself, why? Why is somebody of a grown up nature choosing this? And what if they had a son where they want their sons to grow up like this? Because you see, the sagging pants was back some time ago. It seems to be coming back because I saw that again. Is that trend setting? As fathers, we need to take the opportunity to accept the challenge of being the leader. How does a father play a role in leadership? Um, our audience member says true men are a dying class. Even my sons will never live up to my legacy. How do you mean that? How do you mean that? Because we don't want to give hope. So, what has been your experience from what you just said? And that's coming from emotion, and we want to respect that. Thank you so much. Whenever we speak, we're speaking from experience. So we want to hear from you guys. How do you mean that, audience member? And you have two sons. So you have fulfilled your what as a protector and provider. How old are your children? And I'm talking to a dad. Thank you so much for that. Talking to a dad. Thank you so much. You have, so, because I want to hear from you. I want to hear the emotion and watch how the challenge comes out. Your youngest is how old? I don't see a number there. We want you dads not to give up. And we want you, when you state something, to be able to say why you, oh, just became an adult. Okay. Okay. And so your experience, how was that for you? I can tell you about the mother part of that. How was that experience? You never give up on your sons. How was the experience for you? Because here you said Um, you are a very capable, hardworking man who has taken care of your family, and you have fulfilled your job as a protector and provider. That's another thing that fathers do. You say it was wonderful, and in the end of it, disappointing. How so? How so? You work 70 hours, which is an average work week for most. But how has it become disappointing is your role as a dad to your sons? How has that become disappointing? Okay. But I want to address the disappointing part, because you're saying that your sons, you don't think that they could manage a 40-hour work week. So your son has no drive to make something of himself in the world. Well, how do you play a part in helping him? You know, when I see that my sons are not reaching the full potential of themselves, I sit down and I have a heart to heart and I show them, you've done that, you've shown them. But since they are young adults, your son is a young adult, have you sat down? Because even as they get older, they still need us. And this is where father comes in, because you don't ever get rid of the title. You'll always be the father. And um, yeah, see, there's the root. And I kind of knew it was going to go there. He decided to go to his mother's, and now that he's an adult, so she offers comfortable life where he doesn't actually have to do much. Okay, now we're shifting it on the mother, but I want to stay with the father. You're, are you able to still see him? That's my question. And fathers, we want you to fulfill your part. Just because they grow up doesn't mean they don't need us. They need us indeed. They really do. So what have you done as a father? You say you talk to him? Okay. And are these conversations of blame? Does it sound like uh, failure to him? Or is it something that after the conversation, you can still look at each other and hug each other? Because I'm a mom and I will fuss with my children. But at the end, I always hug them and let them know I love them and I want them to do better. You said, but you feel like if you talk to him, you would drive him away. Don't be afraid of that. And here's why. See, there's emotion in that. You fear of him driving him away. He lives with the mom, so he's away anyway. You can take those times and cherish those moments, because every father and every son has had a argument or disagreement. Our kids don't agree with us most of the time. Let's be real. If you are still working, are there some Saturdays that you can show him what you do? Show him what you do if you're still working. I don't know if you're retiring age. and maybe do it in a lighter sentence, maybe breakfast. I find time I take my kids, even now I try to get them together, and with them being young adults, one does not live with me, the other does, but I try to spend time with them, not just phone time, but actually, you know, it, everything's so modernized now that you can actually video call. Um, People find it difficult to talk to you. Okay, so what kind of relationship would you say you have with your son? We're gonna get right back to the audience, but we're doing work here. We're challenging ourselves. I want to challenge you, is what I'm hoping that I do with you, Father. Are you close to your children? What kind of relationship do you have? Let's start with that. Number one. You told me he lives with his mom. And if you are a father and you have a situation like that, young people are going to go between the mom and the dad. Every parent uh, has been tested and tried with that. They don't like what you say, they're going to go to the mother. And as soon as they don't like what she says, they're going to come back to you. You said simply ask him if he had a car at his mother's. Okay? So right now we're talking about sons and fathers. Because the mother is always going to come up in the issue. And this is what we're sending out, the message of fathers, even if that's so. Challenge yourself to still be able to see your children and network, because one day they're going to be fathers. You said when you split up with a mother, you got custody of your three kids. Okay, so you have three sons. Do you have three sons? And how are the rest of them doing? And then you said you wanted to fix a car that he had purchased and given to him for his graduation. Okay, that was a nice gift. Well, a lot of kids would want that, right? When you graduate a car. You had two. You have two daughters and two sons, and recently adopted your neighbor's son. Okay, how are you doing with your sons right now? Is it still difficult to communicate? Because I'm getting to the root of it. You're going to help me get to the root of it, the challenge. And that's the challenge. Okay, so we're going back to the mother again. Let's X out the mother, because the mother has nothing to do with your relationship with your son. That is point number one. That as fathers, we need to stop doing that. So we're going to X out the mother. She's there, but she's not in the conversation today. So you can talk to them every day. Because, see, we want to not pass the blame. How is your relationship? We're talking about sons and fathers. How is your relationship? X out the mother. I don't want to hear anything else about the mother. And I'm saying that because now you have to face the lion. So you say you talk to them every day. And how are the conversations going? Because I'm going to tell you, if the conversations, and I do this a lot, I'm already rushed to judgment, especially my youngest, because he is the youngest. And I say, God, if I should die, what is going to happen to him? Well, I can't control that, can I? And then I see him do some of the most beautiful things, and I go, he's going to be okay. Because I know every time I open my mouth to him, it feels like I'm attacking him. And I had to really challenge myself not to sound like that. Maybe come at a different way to keep the communication open. Okay, so he's getting a new car. So is that the only issue? If mom wants to get him a new car or he wants to get a new car, that's not the issue. This is much deeper. The root of the problem is that I want my sons to be capable, even though I don't want them to have to work as hard as I do. Okay? So you can't. How is he getting the new car? Let's start with that. Let's start with that. How's he getting the new car? So how is he getting the new car? We are working through our challenges. How is he getting the new car? What's the question? Because how old is he? That's my second question. How is he getting the car and how old is he? Because if he's 21, you can't talk to him like he's 5. Even my 5-year-old, 4-year-old grandson, I can't talk to him like he's 5 because so he's just, this kid is just amazing. But I keep it at a 5-year-old level. He just became an adult and his mother is buying him a car. Okay, so you can't control the mother. So do you want to make your relationship with your son better? Because we're going to go on. And I thank you for opening up to me. I love this conversation. Don't you, Trish?
Yes.
No worries. No worries. He's just become an adult. So let him adult. And if I didn't say so myself, I think the issue may be still between the mother and what she allows him to do. You know, my situation was my son, my youngest would go to his dad. Whatever they did was what they did. I never interfered with that. But when he came to me, he came back home to me, he had to adapt to the way we lived. If mom wants to buy him a car, you have no control over that. But every time he sees you, if it's about that car, you're going to keep talking to him until he deaf tones you. That means he's not hearing you. So maybe ease up on the car. Maybe take him for a weekend and show him what you do for work. Are you still working? Are you retired? That's my question. We're still here. And we're still talking about the car. Okay. Okay, so is there a way that you can show him what you do for work? Because our kids, they're not going to do what we want them to do. Ask your mom and dad, Trish, about it. Every parent knows this. I wanted my kids, wanted so much for them that I hurt myself trying to figure it out. But then I had to come to the realization, as long as they know how to take care of themselves. And they do that. We have to give them that credit. Okay, so you don't want your kids to do what you do. So do you take them and talk about what his goals are? What would he like to do in life? Because you can start that conversation as a father without directly attacking him. Don't make issues about the car anymore, because I have to be in his shoes. If somebody were always doing that to me, I wouldn't want to be around them. Fathers, we'll be right back. We're talking to a father. Um, we're talking to a father. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Change is hard for me because I'm not focused on it. So what do you need to change about that? You need to focus on yourself. How do we do that? We don't become blind to everything around us, but we have an incredible desire to help ourselves. You know how people say, may I help you? Ask yourself, may I help you? Give yourself permission to help yourself. Because if you're always thinking about making the change, never doing anything about it, you're never going to see that change. It's hard for me because we're back. And thank you for joining us. We were in the midst of talking with a father. What I'd like to see dads do is communicate with their children openly. Our children are going to say the wildest things and do the wildest things where you feel like you're going to come out of your complete body. But let them be them. Allow them to be the adults that they're going to become. After all, weren't you fathers young? You may have done something that your parents didn't. If they have no goals, if they have no dreams, help them build their dreams. I'll give you an example, and I love this example of life. My youngest was about 4 years old, 4.5, just turning 5. There was a Lego class that he was invited to. Thank you so much for that, our audience member. That he went to. He didn't like the Lego class, but he would see everybody else building Legos. And I would sit on the floor with him, because I don't know how to build worth anything. And my kids love Legos. But now, started to play with him with the Legos and building things. Are we still doing that, helping our young people to build their dreams? Are we helping them to challenge themselves that they can do it? Or are we knocking their Legos down even before they start to build? See, Legos are amazing. They come in all shapes, all sizes, small, big, large, giant. But each Lego can build something. Another fact is that everybody loves Legos. That's why they have Lego shops. Are you helping your child to build a dream, or are you knocking them down at the seams? You see, by me sitting on the floor and helping my young person build those Legos, I eventually didn't have to go because he looked forward to going to Legos. From then on, he got every Lego thing I could ever think of. I know because my foot stepped on them. Are we parents, fathers, stepping on our children, crushing them at the seam, or are we building them as prince and kings? After all, a prince and a king has to earn that right. We as fathers are fathers, excuse me, because we're talking to the fathers today. We must help them build the dream. Because after all, they're going to look at our example and they might be in Vibe Talk saying, my dad didn't believe in me. Young people, they don't get matured until they really go through something. What I do know about my youngest is that I've challenged him. I know that if I should fall asleep in death, that he knows how to take care of himself. However he does it, as long as I don't see him sleeping on the street, I've done my job. You fathers, am I speaking to you loud and clear? It's never too late to build a dream with your child. They can dream big or dream small. We are the foundation. You are the foundation for your sons. I just wanted to talk to the fathers. We want to thank our audience member for letting us work with them. And one-on-ones, because everything is not going to be done in a day's work. One-on-ones can still be done with me. You can set one up with me if you really want to, and we can talk in a more private setting. The only thing I require of you is to have a video set up so that we can see each other, a virtual call, and we want you to know that that's available to you. We know that every day is not going to settle one thing, but what I'll do is help you see your root and cause. The car is not the real issue, but the goal could be an issue. And I ask you as father, are you helping to build the dream? Because I could have just stayed there and not helped my son understand that he had to make something with the Legos and just told him that helped him to build. And from that, he liked Legos. Am I getting to anybody? We're going to be right back with Trisha's Treasure. Stay tuned.
Podcast. Go check your favorite streaming platforms. Feel free to be interactive and tell us your stories. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, YouTube, and so much more. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Go give it a shot.
We're back. I'm going to turn it over to Trisha's Treasures. Trish?
Wow, this podcast has been very powerful. It also made me reflect on a lot of things regarding me and my dad's relationship. And the funny thing is, well, not funny, but the interesting thing is that we didn't always have this I can talk to you relationship before I was actually terrified to talk to him. And like I'd get sick to my stomach before I talk to him because I'll be afraid of if he'll yell at me or get frustrated or if he'll even hear what I have to say or can I bring certain situations to him. And what made the relationship grow was when I was going through my surgeries and I'd have no choice but to get in the car with him. So he's the one taking me. So I as the first trip I was nervous. Like I was very, very nervous. And I was like, Mom, I don't know if I can go because I know he's gonna start tripping. And that's normal for kids to think that. That's very normal. And my mom was like, just go talk to him. He wants y'all to talk to him. That's his issue, that he wants y'all to communicate with him. But in my brain, I always thought if I say something, he's going to get irritated with me. So I might as well be quiet. But as we kept going to the trips, to the appointments, our relationship got bigger because we'd communicate about music, what's happening in school, and he will even tell me things that's going on at work. And it helped me understand him more because we were communicating, and it helped him understand me more and things like that. And I also found out some things about my dad that I never would have known if I would have just stayed quiet. So communication is important for a parent and a father and a child to have because like I learned in class yesterday, I learned in class that parents should pay attention how their children play with things like blocks or dolls. And it helps them read how a child feels about them in the way they play. And I was like, wow, we're having a podcast about this specific topic. And I just learned that yesterday. And I was like, okay, this is a confirmation for me to maybe check on how me and my dad's relationship is doing. It's okay to randomly ask, hey, Dad, so are we good? Like, are we on ground level with each other? Are we talking? Are we good with communication? It's okay to ask those questions and check with parents and things.
That deserves a roar. Our audience member wrote, his son has shown interest. See, there is something positive. Yay! There is something positive. He's shown interest in working on cars. So I started renting a shop. Love it. Good dad. And when you guys are working on the car, let him mess up. And I'm telling you, from my mother's point of view, I used to be so irritated with my older son because he would not reach his full potential. And I was so aggravated because I knew he had full potentials. It would infuriate me. So I get it. But take that about the interest and have different conversations. I think that would be helpful for you, not to keep bringing up the car that the mother, emphasizing that, because that's where I think the root cause is. The mother. Sometimes we're maybe upset with how the mother does things. She becomes the guy, like someone that you just had a bad relationship with, or that you're still irritated or annoys you. She becomes the person that you can't stand the way she's eating the chips. It annoys you every time your son is going to say something about the mother. Okay, she brought him a car. Let that be okay. You have to learn to deal with that emotion. When he's with you, you know what we can say? We can move right into another conversation. How does the transmission look? Did you change the oil? Let's check the oil. Things like that. So that you two, as father and son, can build unbreakable bonds. Leave the mother out of your conversation, because each time the mother comes up, because he loves you and he loves her. Can't change that. In conclusion, to our fathers, our hats are off to you. We thank our audience member for being so candid with us. Thank you for that, because that challenges you. And we want to thank you. If you are interested, any of you that are listening to our podcast, please get with me for a one-on-one conversation, because an hour just doesn't cut it. And I'd like to work with you all. Be brave enough. Challenge yourself to come and work with me. I think you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to get some sense. By the way, how many of you like my lion in the background? You're
I
going to
do.
see more. Go ahead, Trish.
I said I do. I like it.
Yeah. So go to our YouTube page. This conversation podcast is recorded, and check us out at Vibe Talk After Dark radio show. My goodness, Trish, it has really gotten views, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
And I'm hosting that. I'm so proud to be doing the radio show. It's like this field, but it's more laid back with your thoughts and what you want to hear. And it's after dark. I don't have a specific time, but in order to have it pulled up, follow our pages. And don't forget to check us out, our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to it. I would like everyone to have the best weekend ever. If you're having a really amazing weekend, or if you thought of something inspiring, you can always text or leave a voicemail on our podcast phone. Our direct number is 661-503-8993. All of our lines take text messaging. You can text message anywhere. You can directly inbox us wherever. I want to thank you all for our conversation on fathers. And I'd like to say to the fathers, congratulations on a job well done. And we hope that you're building Legos for life. Thank you. And have a great weekend. We'll see you back here next week. Thank all of you for being here. Trish, thank you for the week. It was awesome. And I really want to thank you. We will see you all back here next week.
Facing the lion is always positive. And so I ask you today, as we are going to be facing our lions or challenges,